Hi everyone, my name is Chelsea Berkowitz and I'm currently a senior majoring in communication studies, and I do have a minor in political science. I chose to do this presentation on cybercrime and security and how to stay safe on the internet. So what is cybersecurity? By definition, cybersecurity is the protection of information systems from theft or damage to the hardware, the software, and the information on a computer, as well as the disruption or misdirection of the services that they provide. And this definition will make a little bit more sense once I get more into this presentation. So, there are three different types of cyber risks that I'm going to explain to you guys, and they all get a little bit worse as they go down the ladder. So, the first cyber risk is called cybercrime, and that's conducted by individuals working alone or in organized groups with the intent on extracting money, data, or causing disruption. So, that could be like a personal attack on an individual or a company. The next risk is called cyber war, and that's when a nation state conducting sabotage and espionage against another nation state in order to cause disruption or to extract data. And that's when one nation state versus another, pretty much. It's clear who the attack is coming from, it's not hidden. Essentially, one government versus another. The last one, which is the most serious, is called cyber terror, and that's when an organization working independently of a nation state conducting terrorist activities through the medium of cyberspace. And so that could be like a hacking group who conceals their identity. Usually, that group is a single entity. And later on in the presentation, I'll provide a real world example of cyber terrorism. So next I want to tell you guys a little bit about the different categories of cybercrime. There are three of them. The first one is using the computer as a target, and that is using one computer to attack another computer. Most cyber crimes are in this category. That, for example, that could be unleashing viruses through email, sending one person an email from another computer that contains virus. The next category is computer as a weapon, and that's using a computer to commit a classic real world crime, like online gambling, for example, or fraud or scams. So that could be banking scams or identity theft. The last one is using the computer as an accessory, and that's using a computer to store illegal or stolen information. So that could be like personal information that you're not supposed to have, that does not belong to you, or even so serious as having child pornography on a computer that's illegal to have on any computer. Next, I want to explain a couple different type of threats to cybersecurity. I just want to let you guys know this is not all of them. There are so many different types of threats to cybersecurity that it would be almost impossible to identify all of them. So I just highlighted a couple that I thought were the most important. The first threat is identity theft, and that's when a person pretends to be someone else, typically for a financial gain. That could be stealing someone's social security number or banking information and opening up false accounts under that person's name. The next threat is hacking, and that would be illegally breaking into a computer system or a network. So that would be typically looking for sensitive information that the hackers are not supposed to have. The third threat that I highlighted was spamming, and that's when you get unsolicited or unwanted bulk of emails containing viruses. So that could be a pop up that comes up on your computer and they can harm your computer if you give them any of your information in those pop-ups. And the last threat that I wanted to talk about was viruses, and they are designed to infect programs and files, alter the way your computer operates, or stop it from working altogether. If your computer has ever crashed randomly, or you opened one of those spam emails by accident, that's how you can unleash a virus onto your computer. Next, I want to tell you guys a little bit about the cyber terror attack that took place against Sony in 2014. So, in November of 2014, the Sony servers were hacked by a group that called themselves the GOP, or the Guardian of Peace. There's a strong belief that the attack came from North Korea because Sony was just about to release a movie called The Interview. This movie featured two American journalists who were traveling to North Korea in hopes to kill their dictator, Kim Jong-un. The first round of leaks happened on December 1st, and 24.6 gigabytes of information were leaked. Within that information included over 40,000 different social security numbers of the employees that worked for Sony, previous employees and current employees. The next round of leaks took place on December 3rd, just a couple days later. That included 1.18 gigabytes of information, and that information included username and passwords of Sony accounts, their banking accounts, also the accounts of the employees as well. The GOP sent a message to Sony asking them again to not release this movie, and I will read you some of that message. They said, "We are sending you our warning again. Do carry out our demand if you want to escape us. And stop immediately showing the movie of terrorism, which can break the regional peace and cause the war. You, Sony, and FBI cannot find us. We are perfect as much. The destiny of Sony is totally up to the wise reaction measure of Sony." So, after getting this message, Sony decided to pull the movie from theaters, but a couple weeks later, Sony did release the movie to places like Amazon and YouTube, and for a small fee of, I think, $1 or $2, you could watch this movie that was originally intended for the theaters. And just a couple weeks after that, it was on Netflix for free. Lastly, in this presentation, I just want to give you guys a couple tips on how to stay safe on the internet. So the first one is just think before you click. If you're browsing Google or something and you see a website with a weird URL that doesn't sound trustworthy, don't click it. It could very well be spam and have a virus embedded in it. The next tip I have is to shop safely. Many people shop online every day, and I just want to remind you guys to only buy from safe sources that you trust. You don't want to give out any of your credit card information to sketchy places and sketchy websites. Next, it's really important to create strong passwords. I know it's a pain in the butt sometimes to include characters in uppercase and lowercase, but it's really important and it will go a long way. Birthdays and address numbers are not a good thing to use for passwords because they're really easy detectable. Next is to back up your computer. You can use an external hard drive or save your computer information to the cloud. If you ever got a virus and your computer crashed, all that information would be gone. But if you backed it up, you would still be protected and you would be able to recover all of that information. And lastly, it's really important to install antivirus software. There's companies like Norton, Kaspersky, McAfee. These are all companies that create antivirus software, and if somebody ever does try to hack into your computer, it makes it much, much, much harder or nearly impossible for them to get in your computer and steal your information. Thank you guys so much for watching my presentation and listening to me. That is all I have for you, and I hope you guys have a good rest of the night.